I think it's hard to find a person who has never seen these Jeeps with their cartoonishly huge wheels. Everyone knows that they are called monster trucks, and judging by the number of children's toys in stores, children love them very much. But today we will talk about how this kind of car came into being, where and when. The mid-70s. America is going crazy about everything that can fit a V8. NASCAR, Dresden, lowriders, crazy motocross bikes. In general, a crazy automobile cocktail of everything. And it's easy to guess that against the backdrop of all this, the auto parts business was a very profitable and practically a sure thing. One of those who decided to try their hand at this business was a man named Bob Chandler. He, like many others, opened a shop selling auto parts at that time. Although the demand for auto parts was great, the competition was also great. That's why car shop owners had to constantly come up with something to attract customers to their shop. Bob Chandler drove a Ford F-250 pickup truck and always parked it next to his shop. And one day, Bob had an idea to draw attention to his shop with his pickup truck. But to do this, he needed to do something that would make his Ford stand out from the rest of the pickups. And, as you probably already guessed, yes, he raised the suspension and fitted 48-inch wheels. Since no one had done that before, the effect was achieved, and Bob's car began to attract people's attention like a magnet. And along with this, the spare parts business took off. But Bob was not one to rest on his laurels, and to enhance the wow effect, the work on modifying the pickup truck practically never stopped, and the Ford grew taller and taller, and the wheels grew bigger and bigger. Of course, there came a time when the standard drives could no longer withstand the increased load. Bob Stroh solved this problem, since he had access to almost any auto parts thanks to his shop. But it immediately became clear that the power of the standard engine was no longer sufficient to rotate such huge and massive wheels. And so, step by step and in a couple of years, the standard inconspicuous pickup turned into a crazy huge monster truck, which was quickly nicknamed Bigfoot by the people. The car became so popular that Bob was even offered to film his car in a movie, to which he happily agreed. And what's more, he himself participated in the filming and sat behind the wheel of his creation. The Bobs also began to offer to be present with their brainchild at all kinds of auto events. Often he just rode in front of an amazed audience, and sometimes he tied something heavy to his Bigfoot and dragged it behind him, which caused sincere delight among the audience. But the truly unbridled fun began in 1981. Bob once again thought about coming up with something to attract attention to his store. He bought a couple of cars from a junkyard, took them to a field and drove over them on his monster three-wheeler, not forgetting, of course, to ask his friends to film it all on camera. And he began to play the resulting video on TVs in his store. And then Bob Chandler hit the bullseye again. Rumors about Bobby, his cars and the video in which he mercilessly destroys cars, reached famous organizers of car shows, who saw great potential in this, and Bob was literally inundated with offers to attend this or that event to crush a dozen or two cars there. And since all this was often broadcast on television, monster trucks quickly went to the masses. And very soon people began to gather at events dedicated directly to the monster trucks themselves. The program usually featured both racing and the particularly popular ski jumps, and, of course, the classic destruction of decommissioned cars. Bob Chandler himself made Ford his sponsor and, as the founder of this culture, also became one of the organizers. And his Bigfoot was not only featured at the show, but also on t-shirts, posters, calendars. What can we say if a model of Bigfoot Bob could be found in McDonald's children's meal kits? The monster trucks themselves gradually evolved and today have nothing in common with factory pickups. Now the design of a monster truck is often a space frame covered with a fiberglass body stylized as a pickup of one brand or another. The engine is usually located in the center for the best distribution. By the way, the power of modern monster trucks often exceeds 1,000 horsepower. And the last question that may interest many: where do they get these huge wheels from? Most often, they use discs from various agricultural and industrial equipment. Tires are taken from there, but in order to reduce their enormous weight, the excess tread is simply cut off. And so, thanks to the bold imagination of just one person, an entire cultural phenomenon was born. And that's probably all for today. Good luck to everyone and have a great mood. Bye. Oh, and by the way, you can also watch other videos on my channel. Well, like, subscribe, you know.
Cigarettes and tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside our new